So the news came out today that Marvel, it didn't say if she got fired or if she quit, but Victoria Alonso
I
exited.
was so wondering if you want to talk about this, because this is
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. She's not just like a whatever, you know what I mean? Like, she's a pretty big shot. So I had to look into her a little bit, because all I knew from her was the controversy that she said about things. But I guess she used to be in charge of the VFX team, and then she became like a producer, like a big shot kind of producer in the MCU. And there's a lot of people happy she's gone for a lot of different reasons. You know, it could be for her stuff about the XMen shouldn't be called men anymore thing. So you have those people mad.
That was that what 2018, 2019 thing. That's stupid thing. She was like, X women. Like, Storm's been an X-Men from the beginning.
People or whatever.
Storm's the X-Men. That's what she is. Like, that's what Jean Grey's X-Men. Shut up.
Yeah. So she's kind of known for that. And then also, it's coming out more now recently that she was probably the reason for a lot of the toxicity in the VFX department and the MCU. So those are kind of the things she's known for, and then being a producer. But like, she wasn't as known as a producer like someone like Nate Moore, example. You know,
because I was watching Chill earlier, and sorry I couldn't do it. Because I really wanted to jump on, because I was really interested in the topic, but I was busy being dad. But
I wanted to jump on too, but same.
So man, I got two girls. I got to be dad. But they were talking about, like, you know, you still are really in charge of VFX. You know, so you're still really embedded with that. So like, you don't get to let go of that string. You're added on roles. So like, they actually give you extra money. So that's what they, you know, being the producer and those things, you know, work. But the fact that we've had so much toxicity with the VFX, and then now she's going, and it seems like it's a whole relief, because she pushed a lot of things in Marvel. So I mean, it's interesting to see how it changes things, or does it, or does she leave enough of a mark that, you know, they think about the things that just don't want to be in a toxic environment, or did she push Feige a little bit too much, and he was like, "All right, this is your last chance, bro." And then just kicked it out. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, she was actually, like, obviously, like I said, a big deal, but I think Feige is listening to the people to an extent. You know, movies aren't being liked, I guess, as much as they once were. So you kind of need to figure out, you know, what are we doing? You know, what are the fans saying about certain people that are behind the scenes that are saying things, you know what I mean? So then that starts becoming a problem, because that's the same issue with Star Wars. It's not what the actors are doing and saying, you know, because they're just acting and being told what to do. Now it's the people behind the camera, and now they're starting to get more like airtime, you know, not want to say screen time, but airtime on social media, stuff like that. So, you know, like Nate Moore, he's came out and said a lot of messed up stuff that, you know, like, hey, I don't want to look for a comic book fan. I want to look for somebody I can control, which, you know, I mean, that, he didn't say that, but he kind of said that. He said that.
What it was, though, you know, I'm not a huge Nate Moore fan, or not, or either. I mean, I'm not on either side. I just kind of listen and kind of weigh, you know, when I think about it. And more with Nate Moore, I feel like he was saying, money wise, I got you. You're going to watch the movie regardless. And when he said you, he looked at me. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're going to watch the movie regardless." And I was like, "Damn, he knows me." So, but I don't care about you. I care about the people that are behind you that are going to. I have to grab them. The normies, the people that don't really care. I have to pull them, and that's what we're doing it for. And business wise, I respect that. Business wise, I understand where you're coming from, and I respect that. But as a comic book fan, the person who actually cares about these characters, like, I don't know if you know, I got stuff from the beginning. I got, like, you know, number 1. I got number 3. I got, you know, like, I care about these characters for a long time, and so I care about where they go. You know, so I care about what crap you putting out, and he's more doing it for the people that are just, you know, is it interesting? Does it fit the storyline? Does it fit the climate of today, and sometimes it annoys the hell out of me.
I mean, a lot of times it sucks. Well, I would say I was watching. I forgot. Oh man, I forgot. It was a smaller creator. He had a panel on, and they were talking about stuff, and it kind of snowballed as they usually do.
Yeah.
And somebody in the panel said something that was super brilliant. It blew my mind because it was 100% true. And it was basically like, yeah, you're doing it for the normies, but you have to go through the comic book fans. Now you're getting rid of the comic book fans. Guess who was hyping up Thanos? The comic book fans to the normies. Mm-hmm. Guess who was hyping up all the other shit? Was the comic book fans. And because the comic book fans will go with their mom or go with their girlfriend, they're like, oh, did you see that? And they're like, no. And then that fan would hype up other people and bring them in. Now you're going so far deep into crazy cosmic stuff, and you're doing it more for the normies without the comic book fans. You're losing that free press, basically. Like, you need to make the comic book fans happy to make the normies happy. Because if you skip the comic book fans and go more into comic book craziness, the normies don't care. And that's exactly what's happening. You're going into the quantum realm, all the crazy shit.
If you lose your fan base, your base, then you might lose everybody.
You lose everything.
That's what you're saying. So you lose your fan base, lose your target audience, then you lose everything.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know. It sounds like so crazy. So that's why, like, something like Namor is like I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it for the normies, but the normies only like it because we hype it up. Because you're a big person on screen that goes on red carpets and shit. Like, I'm my mother's son. Me saying, like, oh, I'm so hyped for Thanos and this and that, like, got my mom hyped. You know what I mean? Like my girlfriend's boyfriend, or my girlfriend's boyfriend, Jesus, my sister's boyfriend.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right? I better not.
Once again.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like my sister's boyfriend got her hyped, and it's just like, those are the people that get the normies excited, and now you're getting rid of them. Because you want to deal with it. But at the same time, you're going deeper down the rabbit hole. So you need somebody to come down that rabbit hole with you, and you're leaving them behind.
The problem, the further you go down the rabbit hole, other people are not going to understand. Like, if we really do the intergalactic kingdom of Wakanda, people are going to be like, what the fuck?
You got the comic book fans. Yeah, you got the brother, you got the son, you got the uncle that's a nerd, and they hype it up. You know what I mean?
They're like, need someone that's going to go down with you, because honestly, everyone talks like, I was listening to Chill. He was talking about, we need to get to use Blue Marvel, right? But everything I got with Blue Marvel is really still depending on T'Challa. And that's where a lot of the problems are coming with these last phases. Not having T'Challa is really screwing stuff up. Because they had a plan.
That was a bad idea.
But they had a plan, and they're like, oh, we're going to go towards this. And now that we don't have T'Challa, none of those plans works, because he was going to be that Captain America, that Iron Man, that guy, that centerpiece to everything. Mm-hmm. So that you could use Doctor Strange versus T'Challa, because you could really highlight how smart T'Challa is. He's so brilliant that he is like Tony Stark. So you could have different MCU characters pop up. Spider-Man, all this stuff, and have him be the leader and be, this is the basis. And not having that has ruined a lot of storylines. I really believe that they didn't anticipate how much that was how deep that was going to cut.
Yeah. They're gonna.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he was going to be the Captain America and Iron Man rolled into one.
He's the linchpin.
Rolled into one. I was gonna say. Yeah.
He's literally the linchpin to all these stories that they're going to, because they all push us towards these stories, and the linchpin to anything going on further is T'Challa. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Secret Wars. We're talking about Battle World. We're talking about all without the Fantastic Four, you have no chance without T'Challa, and I think that's what they're finding out. And they're go back on the world. They're going to have to bring T'Challa back in to get to where they want to get to. That's the only way.
If they forge forward with Shuri, I don't think that's gonna work the same, or even if they forge forward with Spider-Man. I know I've said multiple times how I feel about that.
He's going to be part of it, but the problem is he's not an Avenger still. Like
I know
him being the leader of the Avenger, he's still a kid, and you're going to look at Tom Holland always as a kid. You're never going to see him as that wisdom, that guy who's a leader, who can take you forward. Is going to have thoughtfulness. They haven't even discussed Spider-Man being a genius. Like, it's just, there's so many things that they haven't done, and without that basis, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, to loop it back around to like the producers. So like, is Nate Moore next? Is Nate Moore next? You know what I mean? Like, she had a lot of stuff that a lot of people disagreed with, like on a fundamental level. Is like, these are the X-Men. You do not change the name of the X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that's like super not inclusive, you know, because it says men. I was like, so women, you know, like I don't know. You know, it's like her saying like there's women in X-Men. I was like, well, yeah, you know, like
being inclusive. Being inclusive shouldn't be for everything, just to placate a certain demographic. They were always titled the X-Men, you know, leave it, you know, what are you that frightened of ticking off those people because they don't feel included? The whole thing with X-Men is it's about inclusion if you look beyond the name. So,
you're of X-Men is like all men are created equal. Like I say this because it says all men are created equal. Does that not mean all people are created equal? Should we have to, or should you be smart enough to know that that's what that means? I mean, the word men is within women. Like, you understand that we've had all these movements to get to this point where we should know this.
Yeah.
And it's like you want to nitpick at something instead of realizing we already made it past this, and you know everyone should know this already. It's like you're missing you're looking at the trees and not seeing the forest. And I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah. Polar nights. That's also, as a barber, I love this podcast. It's the perfect evolution of beard growth. You got a little bit and a little bit more, and then full on. That's funny. It's just Alfredo, one of the other guys that comes on every so often. He had a pretty nice one. Anyway, and then he cut it. I was like, what you doing, man? Dude, it was nicely shaped. Was
beautiful. Like, he literally, all thing he was missing was like a little gray streak in his hair. Like, he was looking distinguished. I don't know what he did.
Yeah, it was a nice shape. It was lined up, and then just cut it short again. I was like, what you doing, man?
Like, man.
Yeah, but man,
I was so mad.
Yeah, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, man. So I don't know, man. Like, is this Kevin Feige throwing down the hammer? You know, it's like, all right, enough is enough. Like, you don't need to make the X-Men, you know, you can't complain about the X-Men being not inclusive when, like Brandon said, they're the X-Men. That's the whole point of them being created, was like, oh, hey, there's all these injustices in the world, but you know, we can't get into the actual thing, so let's make up our own thing that mimics the real world. You know, like, that's the whole point of X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, political injustices, like, you know, so
if that was one of the things that she was complaining about or trying to change, maybe her exile is for the best.
But I don't think this is why.
A lot of people are saying. I don't think so. I don't think so.
This is why.
That's the only thing.
This happened 3 years ago. She started talking about this stuff. Like, she's been saying this for. I think she was a habitual line stepper. Habitually, she overstepped the line, and then eventually he said, "Look, Phase 4 sucked, or you know, we made missteps, and I need you guys to follow me." And she's probably want someone who's pushing, and he finally said, "This is what we're going to do." And you know, when someone's pushing that long and been doing it for years, they feel like they can say whatever they want to say. And sometimes, as a boss, you gotta say, "You got one last chance." And she probably says something, and he's like, "All right, you out of here. This is it. I can't do it."
So. Yeah. That's why I wonder if Nate Moore is next.
But we don't know if Nate Moore has been habitually line stepping.
I don't know. I don't know.
He said one thing or two. He said two things that have been pretty stupid. But that's it though. You haven't heard him all the time. You haven't heard that an entire department hates him. Like you,
Yeah, exactly.
You hear that people love him. So I don't think that you're going to have that problem with Nate Moore. I think what they're going to do is have to get some new blood in there. And but I think that it's going to work out fine, personally.
Yeah. But also, like, that's what a lot of people are saying is like, she said it years ago, so why would it come now? Is like, also, who was in charge of Disney? Who was Kevin Feige's boss 3 years ago? Was Chapek. Chapek took a lot of power away from a lot of studio heads. That's one reason why, like, all the studio heads, including Kevin Feige, got together and went to the board and was like, hey, this guy is effing everything up. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the whole thing out now, whereas is Kevin Feige didn't want all these projects to be coming out. That was Chapek. Chapek was like, hey, we you need to pump this shit out right now. And it tells that wasn't Kevin Feige, I think, having his hand on everything. He had to, like, being told what to do. And now Iger came back in and got rid of that stupid middle management group that Chapek made. And Iger likes making sure people run their studios, so I wonder, he's like, hey, remember when you said all this crazy shit and you keep stepping over the line, like, we're done. I could definitely see that. And the VXX problem too.
I think that they just realized they had to do that because they had so many issues now, and to make people happy, they had to get rid of her. That's just kind of where it came down to. But I mean, it's funny you saying that because they're talking about they pushing back Secret Wars. Before this, it's coming out in July. Definitely coming out.
Yeah, there's
2023, and now they're saying sometime in 2023. Like they're pushing back projects on Disney Plus. I don't think that's coincidence. They're doing this on purpose. I think this is part of the whole plan, and I think people that aren't getting with the new program are getting released. I don't think Nate Moore is that person, because I think Nate Moore knows where to rock.
He's liked.
Yeah,
he's liked.
He's liked.
When people like you, it's hard to get rid of you.
Exactly,
because people like you. Like you said, the whole department did not like her.
People like ready to revolt. If everyone's revoting, then maybe we need to get rid of you.
Yeah.
But besides that, no, I think this is fine.
So one last thing before we move on to some other stuff. Do we see better graphics in these Marvel movies now?
I sure hope so.
I hope so. I suppose we're gonna find out if she was single-handedly responsible for this toxic work environment and the drop in quality. I think if that's really the case, I think it's only a matter of time before that question answers itself.
Yeah. So the next bunch of movies.
Because it's been a common it's been an on and off thing that you've heard. Heck, even with the constant release shifts of the Marvels. A lot of they're saying that the release date shifts in that have been to touch up the visuals. And the CGI.
People said that the story is not as good as they thought. I mean, and that's something also I think about. Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel so good, made so much money because it was right before Endgame. Was that the real reason? We're going to figure that out too. Did people really
Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel?
I mean, Captain Marvel. I said Ms. Marvel, but Captain Marvel, is that the reason why it did so well in the box office? I don't know.
It was. Well, it was a month and a half before,
so right
Endgame.
But it's like wet your whistle. Here we go.
Yeah.
But we did get that stinger at the end of Endgame, or not Endgame, at the end of Infinity War that hinted at Captain Marvel. So people wanted to be introduced to this character and see how instrumental she was going to be.
But what does that mean for going forward then? What does that mean for this movie going forward? I wonder if they saw a story and realize without this epic collision out there, the story wasn't like this great story.
Yeah.
And people might turn their nose up at it and say that you need more. Because that's what I think the story, they're still doing reshoots. How are you still doing reshoots?
Yeah. Well, it's Marvel, man. They do reshoots like a month ahead, a month before a release. Like reshoot.
Ant-Man was getting done in January. It was released in February.
Yeah. But I wonder if the graphics will be good in that one because I don't think it's in post edit yet, right? Or post production. I don't think so yet.
They're still doing.
Might be.
Like everyone thought it was done.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. The Marvels
with the Marvel. Well, yeah, because they've been finished filming it for quite some time.
Have they? Okay.
Production yet? But they're still refilming certain scenes. So I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing. But I don't know. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then the big rumor is what's her name? The two leads, the girl who plays Monica and the girl that plays Carol Danvers. They don't like each other. I guess there's been a lot of bickering.
I thought that one was already debunked.
Was it? It might have been. I've seen them.
Incels probably just made that shit up because they don't like Brie Larson because she made some harmless comments about inclusion. So they'll find any and every excuse they can just to take petty little pot shots at her. Yeah. It's quite pathetic, actually.
I don't know. We'll see. Because if it doesn't make any money, maybe it wasn't just that.
Yeah. Well, you can tell chemistry on film, man. Like you'll see if they don't like each other, you can definitely get a feeling when they're in scenes together. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I am kind of excited about it, but I'm also not excited where I'm like, "Ooh, I can't wait." More, I'm like, "Ooh, like what movie is gonna be the final straw?" You know what I mean? And is the Marvels going to be it? I mean, not the final straw where it's the end of the studio, but it's where the final straw of when they start making major changes. Like you need to shake things up.
They're going to say that we're going to need a better leader. We're going to have to find, and I hope that gets to Captain America. I hope that we get to Captain America and give him a chance and see what he could do. But I don't know if we're going to get there. I really don't.
They just really have to bring their A game with this movie. I'm curious to see how that one pans out.